Before the Jamison family disappeared, something happened that still doesn't sit right. There's security footage, grainy, distant, nothing dramatic on the surface. Bobby Jamison, Sherilynn Jamison, and their 6-year-old daughter, Madyson, all outside their home. It should look like a family preparing for a trip, loading up, maybe talking, maybe moving with some urgency. But that's not what it looks like. They move slowly, almost deliberately, back and forth between the house and the truck. They'll carry something out and bring something back in, then go out again, then stop, then stand, then move again. It goes on like this for nearly an hour. And the longer you watch it, the less it looks like preparation, and the more it looks like hesitation. Like they're trying to decide something. Or maybe like they already have. That footage matters because it's the last normal thing we have of them. And even that doesn't feel normal. Welcome back to the Pine Grove Briar. This one doesn't begin with a body, or even with a crime scene. It begins with a question. A family leaves their home and never returns. And when you follow the trail they left behind, it doesn't lead you to an answer. It leads you into something that feels incomplete. Like you're always one piece short of understanding it. Bobby Jamison, Sherilynn Jamison, Madyson Jamison. A small family in Oklahoma. Not famous, not particularly visible, just living their life like anyone else. Which is exactly why this case hits the way that it does. Because nothing about them suggests the kind of ending they get. On October 8, 2009, they leave their home. The plan, as it's been told, is simple. They're going to look at land near Red Oak, Oklahoma. Possibly buy it. Start over. A fresh start kind of story. And if you stop there, it sounds almost hopeful. But the deeper you go, the less it feels like a beginning, and the more it feels like something closing in. Let's go back to that last hour again, because it's worth sitting in it. Picture it clearly, not as a headline, as a moment. A truck parked outside, doors opening and closing, items being moved, not in stacks, not organized, just handled, rehandled, put down, pick back up. You don't see urgency. You don't see a checklist being followed. You don't see a family communicating clearly. You see distance, even though they're standing right there together. And when you watch it long enough, a question starts to form that doesn't have a comfortable answer. Were they leaving? Or were they unsure about leaving? Because those are two very different things. When they finally do leave, they head toward a remote area near Red Oak. Rural land, wooded terrain, not somewhere you just casually end up. You go there for a reason. And days pass. No contact. No return. At first, that doesn't always trigger immediate panic. People travel. Plans change, but eventually, concern turns into something else. Search efforts begin. And then the truck is found. This is the moment where most cases start to clarify. This one doesn't. The truck is sitting there, not hidden, not damaged, just parked, like it was left there on purpose. Inside the truck, things are exactly where they shouldn't be if something normal happened. Their wallets are there, their phones are there, personal belongings are still inside. Their dog is there, alive, dehydrated, weak, but alive. And then there's the money. $32,000 in cash. Let me say that one more time. $32,000 in cash. Now, for some people, that may not seem like a lot of money. But to most of us, $32,000 in cash is not just pocket change. $32,000 in cash, still in the vehicle, untouched. That detail doesn't just stand out. It disrupts everything. Because if this was a robbery, it fails immediately. If someone took them, they didn't take the most obvious thing. If they left on their own, they left behind something most people wouldn't. And now you're forced into a position where every explanation starts with a contradiction. So we move forward. What do we know? We know they made it to that area. We know they left the truck. And we know they didn't come back to it. Which means at some point, they made a decision to walk away from their vehicle and go into the woods. And this is where you need to slow down and really sit with that. Because that decision is the center of this entire case. You don't leave your vehicle in a remote area unless something pushes you to do it. You don't leave your money, your phones, your belongings, and walk into unfamiliar terrain unless something outweighs all of that. So what was it? Fear? A threat? A plan? Or something else entirely? Quick pause here. If you've ever spent time in remote areas like that, you know how quickly things can shift. Visibility changes. Sound carries differently. You feel exposed in a way that's hard to explain. Quick Camo makes gear designed to break up your outline in environments like that. If that's something you're into, you can get 25% off with code PGBPromo at quickcamo.com. Now, back to this. Search teams comb the area. Time passes, and nothing's found. Not immediately. Not in a way that gives answers. And this is where the timeline stretches. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. 4 years, to be exact, pass. 4 years before their remains are discovered. Not miles away, not in a completely different location. Relatively close to where the truck had been. all three of them together. And when you hear that, another question forms immediately. How? How do three bodies remain undiscovered for that long in an area that had already been searched? There are explanations for that. Terrain shifts, visibility, the way nature reclaims things. But even when you accept those explanations, it doesn't sit clearly or cleanly, because this case doesn't allow anything to sit cleanly. Now we start looking at who they were before this happened. Because sometimes the answer isn't in the last day. Sometimes it's in everything leading up to it. There were reports, claims, statements that the family had been experiencing some stress, that they believed something wasn't right, that they thought people were watching them. And when you hear that, you have to make a decision as a listener. Do you take that at face value? Or do you question where that belief came from? Because those are two very different paths. If they were right, then this becomes something external. Someone watching, someone following, someone waiting. But if they were wrong, then the danger didn't come from outside. It came from inside their own perception of reality. And that changes everything. But before we go farther, quick mention, bare knuckles gloves. If you're doing real work, you know the difference between something that holds up and something that doesn't. You can get 15% off with code PGB promo at buybareknuckles.com. Now let's think about that truck again. Everything left behind. Nothing taken. The dog alive. The money untouched. And then think about the walk. 3 people, a child, moving into wooded terrain, together, not separated, not scattered, together. And that detail matters, because it suggests this wasn't chaos. This wasn't a sudden explosive moment. This was something that happened while they were still functioning as a unit, still moving together, still making decisions together. And that's where this case becomes something else, because it doesn't feel like a typical crime. It feels like a sequence, a progression, something building, and then tipping. Every time people revisit this case, they come back to the same points: the footage, the money, the walk, and the time it took to find them. And the feeling that something is just missing. Not a small detail. Something big enough that if you had it, everything would shift. And without it, nothing settles. Here's another quick one before we close. Old Glory. Music, sports, and pop culture merch. 15% off your order with code PGB promo at oldglory.com. Three people. One truck. $32,000 in cash left behind. And a decision to walk away from everything that should have kept them grounded. whatever they believed, whatever they feared, whatever they thought was out there, it went with them. And whatever happened next didn't leave enough behind for us to understand it. If you like stories like this and you want more of them, you can support the show. There'll be a link in the description. This has been the Pine Grove Briar. Until next time, keep your pipe lit and your powder dry.